Today's lesson is Oh Dear! Saving Nara's National Treasures. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And my name is Helen.
And today we're going to be talking about deer in Japan. If you've ever traveled to Japan, there is a special place in Nara called Nara Park, and it is famous for its deer. My daughter went there a couple of years ago on a trip with some classmates, and she had a good time there. And I've heard of lots of people going there as well. I think it's someplace near Osaka. But in any case here, there's a problem there with plastic, and the deer seem to eat those plastic bags, and it causes problems.
Yes, and it is a big problem because deer at Nara Park or in Japan in general are not considered normal, regular animals. They are considered national treasures. So they are very important animals. They are animals that the government and the whole country care about. And one of the reasons is that these animals attract a lot of tourists.
So let's find out what's happening in Nara in Japan involving those deer. Let's listen to the first part of our lesson, and we'll be right back.
Oh dear! Saving Nara's National Treasures. The Japanese city of Nara has long been famous for its sacred deer, which roam Nara Park and are considered national treasures. Tourists come from all over the world to see these beautiful creatures and feed them the special deer crackers sold at the park. Unfortunately, some visitors also feed the deer other food products, discarding leftovers and plastic bags afterward. The deer smell the bags, think they are food, and then eat them. In 2019, when 9 deer were found dead with plastic bags in their stomachs, a local resident decided to take action.
大家好，第一部分我们看到名词 cracker 指薄脆饼干。举例来说 For a snack in the afternoon, I usually eat some crackers and drink a glass of milk. 我通常吃一些薄脆饼干和喝一杯牛奶当做我下午的点心。或者 The host of the party laid out cheese and crackers for guests to enjoy. 派对的主人把起司和薄脆饼干摆好，供客人享用。另外把这个字的字尾 er 去掉，就变成动词 crack， 表示裂开或是断裂。我们可以说 The road cracked after heavy rain. 暴雨过后，路都裂开了。或者 The glass window cracked and broke into pieces. 那扇玻璃窗裂开，碎成了碎片。接下来我们看到单字 discard， 这个字是动词，指丢弃或是抛弃，像是 Don't discard these batteries with the regular trash. 不要把这些电池跟一般垃圾一起丢。也可以说 After finishing his coffee, Brian discarded his cup in a trash can. Brian 喝完咖啡之后，把杯子丢进垃圾桶里。另外补充一个统一动词 toss, T-O-S-S, toss, 表示抛投或是丢。例如 Amy gets mad at Rick when he tosses his dirty clothes on the floor. Rick 把脏衣服丢在地板上时 Amy 对他发脾气。也可以说 Please toss the empty box into the garbage. 请将这个空盒丢进垃圾桶。再来我们看到单字 leftover， 这个字是名词，指吃剩的食物或是剩菜。像是 We couldn't finish our meals, so we boxed up the leftovers and took it home. 我们餐点吃不完，所以将剩菜打包带回家。也可以说We cooked too much yesterday, so there are still many leftovers. 我们昨天煮太多了，所以现在还有很多剩菜。另外，这个字也可以当作形容词，表示吃剩的或是残余的。我们可以说 The leftover chicken was cut up for a salad. 我们把吃剩的鸡肉切一切，好做成沙拉。或是 We can give the leftover food to the needy. 我们可以把剩下的食物给需要帮助的人们。
The Japanese city of Nara has long been famous for its sacred deer, which roam Nara Park and are considered national treasures. So as we mentioned before, these deer are considered national treasures because they're important. They draw tourists to come and look at the deer. They are also considered sacred. So something that is sacred is very important. It's greatly respected. You treat it with respect. So these deer, they get to roam around Nara Park. They get to walk around freely. They're not confined like in a zoo, in a cage. They're treated very well. And the government tries to do a good job to make these deer thrive and remain healthy.
Indeed. So the deer are free to roam in the park there. They're considered national treasures. And tourists come from all over the world to see these beautiful creatures and feed them the special deer crackers that are sold at the park. So it's a tourist attraction. It's a thing that is written up in tour books all over the world and on websites. So people, when they come to Japan, want to go check out those deer. So they want to see these beautiful creatures. And also it's fun to feed them. And you have to feed them special deer crackers that are sold at the park. A cracker is a kind of biscuit. In America, we have crackers that we put in our soup sometimes. They're usually square and salty. We call those crackers, as opposed to cookies, which are round and sweet.
Yes, and these special deer crackers are crackers that you feed the deer. You can't feed them any old type of cracker that humans eat. And these crackers are sold at the park.
Indeed. So don't worry about having something to feed those deer. They do sell those crackers at the park. But unfortunately, some visitors also feed the deer other food products, discarding leftovers and plastic bags afterward. This happens pretty much all over the world. Even in zoos, when there are signs that say do not feed the animals, there's always somebody who wants to show off, and they've brought popcorn or cookies or something like that, and they feed those things to the monkeys. They're not supposed to do that, but they do it anyway. And the same thing is happening there in Nara. Some visitors also feed the deer other food products, and then they discard leftovers and plastic bags afterward. So, of course, those food products will come in plastic bags, and then they'll have food that the deer did not eat. And people don't want to be bothered with that stuff, so they discard that stuff. They throw it out or they throw it on the ground. And these are leftovers and those plastic bags or plastic packaging. And unfortunately, the deer will eat them as well.
Yes, and when you discard something, you throw that thing away. And leftovers are food that you did not eat after a meal because you were too full or the portion was too big. And some people, when they eat at restaurants, they might want to take the leftovers home to eat the next day. So that's what happens. People bring food from outside and then they discard the leftovers and the plastic bags afterward. The deer smell the bags, think they are food, and then eat them. So after the people discard the plastic bags, the deer can evidently still smell the plastic bags and the food that was once contained in them. And the deer think, there's more food. So they end up eating the plastic bags. So deer are not very, very smart creatures.
Yeah, so they sniff the bags. Ooh, that smells good. I think I'll eat that too. They think those plastic bags are food, and they chow down and they eat those bags. And about 3 years ago in 2019, when 9 deer were found dead with plastic bags in their stomachs, a local resident decided to take action. So perhaps this local resident decided to take a nap holding a heavy object and drop the heavy object on the ground. The sound woke him up, as we talked about earlier this month, and he got an idea. Eureka! I've got an idea on how to save the deer. So indeed, way back in 2019, 9 deer were found dead, and then they probably conducted an autopsy on the deer. They cut them open to find out what killed them, and they found plastic bags in their stomachs. That's bad news. So we got a local resident. A resident, of course, is somebody who lives in that area. So let's find out what that action was. Let's move on now to the next part, and we'll listen to it.
On learning about the deer's deaths, an entrepreneur named Hidetoshi Matsukawa decided to create a deer-friendly alternative to plastic bags that could be sold to tourists visiting Nara Park. He teamed up with a local paper manufacturer and a design firm to create an edible bag made of rice bran and recycled cardboard, materials that are perfectly safe for consumption. The front of each bag also displays an educational message about the project's purpose.
最后第二部分我们看到单字 edible， 这个字是形容词，指可食用的。举例来说，The decorative fruit is not edible, so please don't eat it. 这种装饰水果不能吃，因此请勿食用。或者 These berries are edible and taste very good. 这些莓果可以吃，而且很美味。
So, on learning about the deer's deaths, an entrepreneur named Hidetoshi Matsukawa decided to create a deer-friendly alternative to plastic bags that could be sold to tourists visiting Nara Park. So, when this entrepreneur, heard about the deer's death on learning about it. So on learning about it means upon learning about it or as soon as the person learned about it. This entrepreneur, decided to do something. An entrepreneur is a person who starts new businesses or who arranges business deals in order to make money. So an entrepreneur's goal in general is to make money by creating companies, but an entrepreneur can also have the goal of doing something for society, of creating a better society or helping people. So that's an entrepreneur. In this case, the entrepreneur is Hidetoshi Matsukawa, and his idea was to create a deer-friendly plastic bag.
Now, he teamed up with a local paper manufacturer and a design firm to create an edible bag made of rice bran and recycled cardboard materials that are perfectly safe for consumption. So here he teamed up with a local paper manufacturer. If you team up with somebody, you work together with them, and he could not do that himself, so he had to find a paper manufacturer, and he worked together with them. A manufacturer is a company that produces things. They manufacture things like plastic bags or electronics parts, etc., etc.
Right. So a local paper manufacturer is a company that makes large quantities of paper. And this entrepreneur teamed up with the manufacturer and a design firm. And together, this team created an edible bag made of rice bran. So edible means that it can be eaten. It's basically eatable, but we say edible. And this bag can be eaten because it's made of rice bran and recycled cardboard. So rice bran is basically the crushed outer skin of rice. It's a type of grain that can be very healthy even for humans, but here it's definitely edible for deer. And this rice bran is mixed together with recycled cardboard. So cardboard is a thick brown paper that is often used for making boxes and carton.
And cardboard, of course, ultimately comes from wood, so that's biodegradable, so it should be edible. And yes, these materials are perfectly safe for consumption. Consumption just refers to the process of eating things. Basically, it means that these things can be consumed, they can be eaten, and they won't kill you if you eat them. The front of each bag also displays an educational message about the project's purpose. So if you buy that bag, you can put some food inside that bag to feed the deer, and then also you can learn something because there's an educational message about the purpose of this particular project. It will tell you all about the problems of the deer eating plastic bags. You should probably use the designated crackers that are sold in the park instead of bringing your own food. You'll probably learn something about these deer and about how to keep them alive and how to avoid using plastic products in the park itself.
That's right. So these people came up with a very creative idea, and the goal was to save these deer and to keep them alive and healthy. So now we're going to look at how businesses have reacted to this new creation.
So far, only a few businesses have begun replacing their plastic bags with the deer-friendly ones, but Mr. Matsukawa is hopeful that more will make the switch in the future. Armed with these bags, the locals can take pride in knowing that they're helping protect their four-legged neighbors.
Okay, let's talk about the third part of our lesson for today. And you might think that this is a great idea and lots of local businesses would jump on the bandwagon. They would participate in this project as well. But so far, only a few businesses have begun replacing their plastic bags with the deer-friendly ones. After all, plastic is very, very cheap to manufacture. Here in Taiwan, of course, there have been various attempts to limit the use of plastic bags, but they're just so convenient and they're so cheap. It's just very difficult to stop people from using plastic bags. So only a few businesses in Nara there have begun to use these new deer-friendly bags. Most of them are still using the plastic bags.
Yes, but Mr. Matsukawa is hopeful that more will make the switch in the future. So being an entrepreneur, Mr. Matsukawa has to be optimistic and has to try to convince people to use this new product and to understand how good it is. That's very environmentally friendly. So he's hopeful that more people will make the switch. When you make the switch, it means you will change and do something different from what you were doing before. So, for instance, I was drinking one coffee brand before, but then I made the switch to another coffee brand because it was cheaper and the coffee tasted better. So I decided to make the switch.
Or many years ago, of course, I was satisfied using the old cell phones. I thought it was enough. I did not need to have internet access. I could make phone calls and send messages fine. While everybody else was using smartphones, eventually I gave in and I made the switch and got a smartphone myself. So in this particular case, Mr. Matsukawa is hopeful. He's optimistic that more local businesses in Nara will make the switch in the future. They'll start using these deer-friendly bags and not use the plastic ones. And here it says, armed with these bags, the locals can take pride in knowing that they're helping protect these four-legged neighbors. So in this sentence, of course, we've got the phrase to be armed with something. That usually refers to having a weapon. You're armed with a rifle or something if you're in the military. But this means you have something that you're going to use to fight something or to improve something. So in this particular case, locals are armed with these bags. They have these bags in the hope that they can save those deer.
Right. You can also use to armed with to mean that you have a particular skill or particular knowledge that will help you do something, accomplish something. So I might say, armed with an MBA, with a graduate degree, I will be able to find a job more easily. And also the phrase here, take pride in, means to be proud of. I might say to someone, you should take pride in your appearance, in the way you look. So when you go out, make sure that your hair is combed and that you're dressed neatly so that people will see that you are a very well put together person. Take pride in how you look.
So here, of course, locals can take pride in knowing that they're helping protect these four-legged neighbors. And that, of course, is referring to the deer who live in Nara Park, and they are oh so cute. Don't we want to save them? Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Here comes Hanny.
Hello, 各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 今天要练习克漏字的题型，我们来看文章的5个题目。第一题他写到空格逗号 Some visitors also feed the deer other food products, discarding leftovers and plastic bags afterward。好，他说空格逗号，有些游客也喂食鹿吃其他的食品，之后丢弃剩余的食物和塑胶袋。这题是在考我们副词，选项 A unfortunately 是指遗憾地、不幸地， B hopefully 是满怀希望地， C immediately 表示立即马上， D eventually 表示最后、最终、终于。那前文提到说，世界各地游客前来观赏并喂食奈良公园里的美丽的鹿，那题目空格后方却是在描述剩余食物和塑胶袋造成的问题，那可以推测最适合的副词就是 A unfortunately， 可以用来引出令人遗憾的事。好，来看到第二题，他写到 The deer 空格逗号 think they are food and then eat them，鹿空格以为它们是食物便吃下肚。那这题是考我们语义，来看选项 A hunt their prey 是猎捕它们的猎物， B hear the sounds 听到声响， C find the paper products 找到纸制品， D smell the bags 闻到袋子的味道。那这题很简单嘛，前一句讲到丢弃的塑胶袋，所以这边就是要选 D smell the bags。 好，第三题他写到 In 2019 when 9 deer 空格 dead with plastic bags in their stomachs 点点点，在2019年9只鹿空格死亡，肚子里残留塑胶袋。好，那这边呢，它是在考我们时态，4个选项分别是 A were found， B are found， C found， D have found。 由于句子是在描述2019的事情，要用过去式，那选项 B are found 和 D have found 就可以删除不考虑咯。然后鹿是被发现死亡，我们是要用被动语态，所以答案是选 A were found。 我们这边也补充一下，当我们说 find somebody or something 加上形容词，就是去表达说无意间或偶然发现某人或某事物处于某种状态，那这边他用 be found dead 就是表达被发现死亡的意思。好，看到第4题，他说 On learning about the deer's deaths, an entrepreneur named Hidetoshi Matsukawa decided to create a deer-friendly 空格 to plastic bags that could be sold to tourists visiting Nara Park。 一得知鹿死亡，一位名叫 Hidetoshi Matsukawa 的企业家决定要制作一种对鹿友善的塑胶袋空格，可以贩售给造访奈良公园的游客。那这题是在考我们单字，来看选项 A negotiation 表示谈判协商， B compliment 表示赞美赞赏， C alternative 表示替代品或是可供选择的事物， D resolution 它当可数名词表示决心决议，那么当不可数名词可以表达坚决的意思。那根据课文呢，这位企业家他决定要制作的东西应该是要用来取代塑胶袋，对鹿友善的塑胶袋替代品，那所以最适合的答案是 C alternative， 我们就可以用 an alternative to 加上名词来表达点点点的替代品。好，我们接着看到第5题，他说 He空格 a local paper manufacturer and a design firm to create an edible bag made of rice bran and recycled cardboard 点点点。好，他空格当地一家造纸商和设计公司制造出一种用米糠和回收硬纸板制作的可食用袋子点点点。好，这题是在测验我们片语动词，选项 A looked down on 表示轻视瞧不起， B teamed up with 点点点可以表达和什么来合作搭档， C got along with 表示跟什么维持良好关系和睦相处， D got rid of 表示摆脱把什么丢掉。那根据课文，它应该是要表达那位企业家跟当地一家造纸商以及设计公司携手合作来制造出可食用的袋子，所以正确答案是 B teamed up with。 我们就补充一下，片语动词 team up 它是不及物用法哦，是指合作组成一队，后面可以接 with somebody 来表达跟某人合作的意思。好，那以上是今天的讲解，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Sacred.
In India, the cow is widely considered a sacred animal.
Roam. The sheep roam the hills looking for grass to eat. Discard. Discard the seeds and then cut the pepper into small pieces. Resident. Only residents are allowed to park their cars on this street. Entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, Jimmy has started several successful businesses. Manufacturer. If you buy directly from the manufacturer, you may save some money. Consumption. Danny was advised to reduce his alcohol consumption.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoyed reading along with us. I am Roger.
I'm Helen.
See you next time.